Hello, my name is Maddie. I'm a longtime digital illustrator and lover of patterns of all kinds. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create tiling and repeating patterns in Clip Studio Paint, much like this one right here that I created earlier. So to start off with, let's go ahead and make a new canvas. I like to use square patterns just because they're easiest for me to work with. But you can create any sort of rectangular pattern. Clip Studio Paint will work with pretty much any size ratio rectangle for creating tiling patterns, which is great. So for my pattern, I'm going to find a sort of dark brown background color. Let's go a little darker. There we go. And a gold color. Let's see how well that shows up. Perfect. To create my pattern with. This one's just going to be a simple lines on a straight colored background for this particular pattern. But I do want to make this pattern symmetrical. So I'm going over here to the rulers panel. I'm going to find the symmetrical ruler. And I have my rulers up here. You can use Control R or Command R to hide or show your rulers if you need to. And I'm going to find the center of my square. I'm zooming in until I can see the 500 because I know it was 1000 across. So I will go 500. Hold the Shift key down for straight, and go straight all the way down. The ruler should continue off the canvas. So here I have the symmetrical ruler, and you'll notice how it only affects whichever layer you put it on, so make sure you put it on your working layer and not your background layer. So for this particular pattern, I'm going to go with a deer motif, and now is the fun part. You get to draw whatever you'd like for your pattern. I'll probably go ahead and speed this part up so that you don't have to wait as long while I draw everything, but you can see all of the lines and mistakes as I make them. I'll be right back. Now, if you're anything like me, you will want to bring your pattern up to the very edge of the canvas. I would not suggest going over the edge of the canvas just yet, because the next part will give you those edges in the center of the canvas, and then you can better work on them together and hook everything up. So, once you've figured out what your central pattern is, like I've done here, you can see mine is actually on 2 layers, so you're going to want to either merge those layers together, or I like to have a backup, so I'm going to hide those 2 original layers and then merge copies of them. And I'm going to keep the symmetrical ruler on another layer so that I can keep it safe. But this layer that has my pattern on it currently, I'm going to go convert layer, right click, convert layer, or press H for the hotkey. And you can name it whatever you'd like. I'm going to name it pattern 1 just to know that this is the first version of the pattern. And you're going to convert it to an image material layer. So once that's happened, you'll see this little icon over here, and you can go over to the operation button over here, and that'll grab everything that's on your pattern. So not the background, as you can see, but it'll grab everything here. So for this, you can go over to your tool property panel, go to the very bottom and click Tile Image. I will now take your pattern and tile it infinitely in any direction. So here, like I said, you can pull it over, and then you can work on the edges without having to account for seams in between, or all those little fiddly bits, or you can kind of do it as you were. And here, I'm going to try and get it as centered as possible so that I can reuse my symmetry ruler from earlier to do these missing pieces in here. So, in this case, if I want to continue working on my pattern, which I do, I will need to go back, convert the layer again, and convert it to a raster layer. And then click OK. So this means I can edit it again, because before you couldn't go back and edit it with a brush or anything. But now I can. Once I move this down again, I can continue working on my pattern. So, as you can see, I did run into some edges here where I can't quite get across it just yet. So, I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. Duplicate my layer so that I have a backup just in case. Move my symmetry point, and then go right click or H, convert layer, go to image material layer, click OK. Over here, go down and check tiling, and then I can move it and here so I can find that spot that didn't work. So, unfortunately, as you can see here, we also ran into a problem. So my tile didn't line back up the way it was originally supposed to. So, it's a good thing I saved my backups. Part of the reason it didn't line up here was because my pattern was a different size and overlapped. See, here it overlaps more, whereas here it doesn't. So, to fix this problem, we go down here again. We duplicate the original layers where the problem was. We merge them together. We delete the ruler. And then we'll do Control A, so we're selecting the entire canvas. This should hopefully fix the problem and get everything to tile nice and smooth. So we're going to go back, convert layer, image material layer, okay, and then go over and click tiling again. So this time you can see that as soon as I stop grabbing the background, you can see that the pattern itself is the size of the canvas rather than just the size of the pattern by itself where it was earlier. So it had cut off here and it had cut off a little bit here and a little bit on the sides. But now it's the size of the entire canvas. So no matter how far I move it on the canvas, it will stay the same amount here versus cut off up here. And that's part of the reason I like to use a square canvas, is because it's a lot easier to see, okay, this is how much is cut off here, and this is how much is reoccurring here, and that's good. But it's something you can go back and fix if if for some reason your pattern doesn't work the way it should. So now we can go back and we can convert this layer again, go back to a raster layer, and for these where it was all messed up, I'm going to put them in their own group and hide it away so I don't mess with those again. But so this new one can bring back the symmetry ruler and go back in again and redo the centerpiece. Again though, we run into the same problem where these edges are again still off the edge. So again, we will duplicate the layer, convert the layer, image material layer, go over here, check tiling, and move it over. In this case, it will be easier to do each of those patches on their own, so I will move them individually. And I'll have to repeat the process again for the others. So, to convert layer back, master layer, there we go. Oops, almost forgot my symmetry ruler. So in this case, you can see that the symmetry ruler is actually slightly off from where I ended up placing my pattern. So there are two options. You can either move the symmetry ruler itself, or you can move your pattern. In this case, I think it's easier for me to just move the symmetry ruler. So I do this by clicking, moving the symmetry ruler. Since it's linked, it's easier to move on its own layer, and then move it over to about where the middle is. Then I can go back in and finish up this part. Same as last time. Convert. Image material. Up here. Check tiling. Move the layer over as needed. Convert layer, raster layer. Okay, now we can finish it. So, now that we've got our pattern all finished, you can see the entire pattern is set there. Then we can check this pattern either by tiling it again here, or we can put it onto a larger canvas like this one over here. So here we'll have to save our current pattern first. So we'll go in, save it as pattern 1, and make sure you save it in this Clip Studio format, because this is how you'll connect it to the other image. Clip Studio has this great feature where you can live update one image and import it, have it be imported here whenever you save. So you can see here that we have the pattern, and then on this new canvas, which is larger, you can go File, Import, create file object, and then go find our pattern 1, open it up, and so you can read this dialog box if you want, but basically it just says if you change wherever you save this file, you'll have to update it, because this is now linked to the image here. So for here, if we want it tiling, we'll have to go over here to operation again and back down to tiling, but that will give us our tiling pattern. And now, so you can see it's a live object here, and if you go back over here and make any updates to your pattern, like add in a different color, and then save your pattern, Control S, it will update over here. So that's a really easy way to make a pattern show up on whatever size background you need, while still having the pattern out separate in case you need to make changes to it. You can also, with this layer, rasterize it once you're done if you don't want it to make changes anymore. So those are pretty much all the basics of repeating patterns in Clip Studio Paint. And you can go ahead and make your own patterns. And if you learned anything from this tutorial, I would love to see what you do. So feel free to tag me or show me in the comments somewhere, and let me know how you liked it.